Yep. Good evening, everyone. So last session we learned about working with tables and table designs. Some examples on them. You are practicing now. You are practicing all what we are learning in class. Everything you are practicing, right? You are new. How you are new? This is already so many. You are online student. Okay. So here, so when you are learning with these examples, you need to practice them very well, completely. You are doing all the practice, right? If any doubts are there at the end of the session, we can check the doubts, clarify them, right? So last session, what we discussed about? We discussed about working with what? Tables, right? We are working with the tables. Next, after important working with tables, today we will see the concept of working with forms. How we can deal with the forms in HTML. So what is the concept of form and what are the important things? Actually, uh, what is the point about form? I will give a simple example. Suppose we are having one small concept, like suppose we are having some database. Actually, we have some database. Database is the location where we store the data. So generally data is maintained in a tabular form, like suppose name, age, mobile, like this, some data is present. So data is stored in a database and usually it is in a tabular format. Now, this is the user. This user have to interact with the data. Then actually what we do is we write server side logic. As of now, I am using general terms. Later you will learn technical words. So we have to write a logic to communicate with the data. Actually, this database requires we have SQL and NoSQL like databases are present. That means generally SQL is a language. By using that language, we have to communicate with the database. That means reading, inserting, updating, deleting data. Everything is done with this language. So server side programming, suppose we use Java, .NET, PHP, Node.js, like that we use. Now the concept is, so this is the user. Now user have to enter his details and store the details in the database. For example, it is related to some college or it is related to some school. And that user is some computer operator. Computer operator means a reception. data entry operator. What is the job of data entry operator is when a user comes, when a student comes, his details they will enter and they will be saved in the database. So now the question is, that means the person who is entering the data of students and all, that person should know SQL and Java.NET. Is it necessary that that person should know Java.NET, PHP, Python, or languages like SQL, all this? No. Then how he will interact with the data? How he will read the data? How he will send some data? How he will open existing data and modify? So for user, we will provide a user interface UI. From this user interface, they can interact with the data and communicate with the data. This user interface, which is used for interacting with the data, this is called form. That is called as form. So what is a form? Form provides a interface from where users can interact with the data, reading the data, inserting, updating, deleting, all such operations we can perform using this user interface. This user interface is called as what? Form. So technically, form usually looks like this. That means you have like name, like age, like mobile, and we have option like what? Submit. To enter the age, name, we will put some boxes. User will enter the details and he will submit the details. This is called as what? Form. So technically, what is a form? Form provides an user interface from where user can interact with the data. So form interactions include CRUD. We call it as CRUD. C for create, R for read, U for update, and D for delete. Form interaction includes CRUD operations. Actually, we call them as CRUD operations. Create, read, update, delete. Creating means inserting the details. Reading, updating, and deleting. So actually, here how the interface works, I will show one small example for that. Generally, this is one example is suppose we have MS Word. Now in this, we are typing some welcome to HTML. I want to modify this sentence. Then generally to modify the sentence, I selected the sentence and I will press Control D. Control D will open a screen like this. In this screen, you can see here, this is one category and this is another category. What these are called as we call them as tabs. That means we have two tabs. One tab font, another tab character spacing. In one tab, font related settings are present. In another tab, character spacing related settings are present. Two categories are present. Okay. What is this one? That is called label. That means that area belongs to size. How you know that it is size? That means there is a label for its size. Okay. How you can define size? Two ways. You can enter here. This is called text box. Or you can select here. This is called list box. In text box, you can type. In list box, you can select. Suppose I want to change color. I want to change color. Here I can select a color. This is called, we call it as drop down. Here I can choose what effects I want. These effects are called, these are called checkbox. These are called checkbox. And I can confirm by using these. These are called as what? Buttons. So here we are having buttons, checkbox, list box, text box, label, and all. And all these are present in a rectangular box. Am I right? They are all present in a rectangular box. This rectangular box is called form. That is called form. So what is a form? Form, just now we discussed that it is a UI for interacting with the data. But technically, form is a container with some set of elements inside. These elements are responsible for selecting, submitting, changing all the values. Form is a collection of elements. Those elements are responsible for handling interactions. It's a collection of elements handling interactions. Usually what happens is these all elements allow you to select values, modify the values, and after that form will collect this information and it will submit to server. That means form is going to submit this information to server. So server side, these details are inserted into the database. Roughly I'm saying here currently this rectangular area is a form. Form is just like a div, empty box. But actual speciality of form is it's a generic container. Generic container means anything you keep inside form, it can submit, it can reset. Automatically it have that behavior. That is why technically it is known as a generic container. Generic container, it's empty box, just like a div and a span, but it have functionality, ready-made functionality. You will see that. See, for example, this is the point. We will learn about all this. So generally, I will save this diagram, form diagram. I will save. I will upload into the class. Huh? Right. Actually, now you understood the concept. So the form element. First, you need to know the form element. So it is a generic container. It is a generic container. So it is a collection. It is a collection of elements. It is a collection of elements. So actually the hierarchy will be like this. We have a window, in that forms, in that elements. This is the hierarchy in technical order. Window represents browser. In the browser window, we have forms. Actually, this is in document also. So document in that forms. So we have window. In the window, you will have a document. Document means page. In the page, there can be multiple forms. This square brace indicates multiple, more than one. And in that form, every form can have multiple elements inside them. So it is a collection of elements. Technically, that is the order actual. This is called as, this is actually DOM hierarchy. This is the DOM hierarchy. I told you document object model. So it is the DOM hierarchy, how the elements are present. The DOM hierarchy. So actually you can see the DOM hierarchy. Generally the DOM hierarchy, yeah, it looks like this. This is the basic DOM hierarchy. Later you will work with this in HTML, JavaScript combination. This window is our browser. In that window, we have a document. Document is page. In that page, you have forms. Forms have what? Elements. In the elements, these all will come. Whatever I showed you, button, text box, checkbox, all these will come. That is the hierarchy of concept. That is DOM hierarchy actually. And what is speciality here is, so form, it is a generic container. Generic container. So it have the ability to submit or reset the form data. The form data. It have the ability to submit or reset the form data. So the form elements, allow to manipulate the data. The form elements allow to manipulate the data. Manipulate, that's what we call as CRUD. Create, read, update, and delete. So this is an empty container. Form is an empty container. So I will show you the difference here, why it is called generic. Why it is called generic, I will show here. Suppose see, let's open our project. Okay. And we will have a form. Okay. In this form, we will design one interface. Don't worry about what I am designing inside. Just observe the concept. Suppose we have a div, some username, input type is text. Later you will see that, don't worry, just observe the point. We have button type submit. It is a submit. We have a button type reset. We have cancel. Observe carefully. we are having a simple interface. Don't worry about what I written inside. Just see the concept. Inside this now, I'm entering some details. I click cancel, nothing happening. I click submit, nothing happening. Okay, let's change this div. We will change this div into a form. And when you change this into a form, you will not see any difference here. Nothing normal. Form is just like a div. But I type something and click cancel, then it can cancel. I'm typing something and click cancel, it is canceling. I'm typing something and click on submit, it is submitting. You can see it submits somewhere here. That means the point here is it is a generic one. What is meant by generic elements in HTML? Generic elements are the elements which have some predefined functionality. That means they already have a functionality. You don't need to write a functionality. They already have some work, they do that work. So technically, form is a generic container. It is a generic container. So what is a generic container? So the question here is, what are generic elements in HTML? Generic elements have predefined functionality. Generic elements have predefined functionality. So that means built-in functionality, predefined functionality. However, you can customize the functionality. That means they already have a functionality, but if you want, you can modify that. By default, it have a functionality. We can modify that functionality. We can add more features to them. But without writing any logic, some logic is working for them. Some work they do. That is what we call generic. Meaning are non-generic. Non-generic means you just design, but they don't work. For that, we have to write JavaScript. Actually, to cancel, to submit like actions, we need a lot of JavaScript. So here they are already built in with a functionality. It's a generic container. And remember, form is an empty box, nothing having inside. That means it's just an empty box. So another question here is while working with the forms, another point is, can we define multiple forms in a page? Answer is yes. You can have multiple forms in a page. One form for login, another form for register. So another form for changing passwords or account details. That means we can have different set of forms in one page. A page can have multiple forms, right? Another question is, can we define a form within another form? Can we define a form within another form? Nested. Nested. No, it's not possible. We cannot have a form inside another form. There is no chance. We can have more than one form, but you cannot have a form inside another form. Means what? We have a form. In this, we have some content. And inside that, we are having another form. That's invalid. We cannot have like that. Actually, this situation comes regularly. This is invalid. In interviews, they ask like, I want like that, but it is not possible. Then what we do is we design pseudo forms. Pseudo forms means it have form like behavior, but it is not a form. That's what we can do. So why you need like this? Obviously, we need like this because see, suppose you are having a form. This form is having two categories. In one category, we have some personal details. In another category, we are having some address details. Now, what happened is here we defined two buttons. So that means it is nothing but just like what. So this is a save button. Huh? This is a save. Here also we are having a save button. And here also we have a button like what? Submit. That means now what they want, they made some changes in personal details. Then when they click save, only this must be saved. Entire form should not be saved. Only that part should be saved. That is what we achieve by using a concept called Ajax. By using Ajax, we can create partial post. That means only specific portion will be posted. Everything is not posted. That you can achieve the concept of this. That means we can just design. In this case, how you submit only that part, that means it should be separated now. That is the reason they ask, I want a form inside form so that I can submit only that form. That is general requirement, but it is not done by writing a form inside another form. For that, we use what? We use pseudo forms. We use that mechanism later in jQuery JavaScript combination. You can learn how to design them, right? That's what we achieve by using a concept called Ajax. But this is a common requirement, but this is not valid. You cannot do like this. We will use other techniques and we can manage, right? So can we have more than one form? Yes. Can we have a form inside another form? No, you cannot have. So now how to design the form? Let's see. Form attributes. First, we will see the form attributes. Basically, what are the attributes for a form? So generally, when you design a form here, yeah, when you create a form, this form has some important attributes. What are the attributes for a form? We have an ID. ID, it is a unique identification for form in page. It is a unique identification for form in page. That means there are so many forms. If there are so many forms, how you will identify form 1, form 2, form 3? Every form should have a unique name. That unique ID is what ID? This we will not use now. Later when we learn JavaScript, we have to use these IDs. Actually, this ID is used by both CSS also. CSS uses these IDs for applying some effects, and JavaScript uses IDs to access it and manipulate it. So we use in both places. That means it is used in CSS and JavaScript everywhere. JavaScript for reference. We can use for CSS and JavaScript actually. Second, every form have a name. We have an ID and we have a name. It is a reference name for form. It is a reference name for form. What is the point is, name can be common for multiple forms. Can be common for multiple forms. So that user can choose any one to submit. Later, this name is also you will use in JavaScript only. What is the point is we have two forms, but user will submit only one. So that means both forms will have a same name. But submitted is only one. Both are not submitted. Any one is submitted. That situation later you will learn in JavaScript. So later when you learn radios and all, you will understand that name must be common. That in next level you are going to see. And no need to worry about that now. Class you already know. What is it? Already we used this class for what? Styles. So that means it is a reference for configuring styles and functions for form. So it is not like we have to use only ID or name. We can have ID, name, class. These three difference you are going to learn in CSS later. In later CSS and JavaScript, you will understand correctly where to use ID, name, and class. These are not only for form. Every element have these three. Even a div and a span also can have ID, name, and class. These are not used here now, but they are very important while working with JavaScript and other CSS later. Next important form have a very major one is method. Form have method. Actually, what is method? This is important to understand. When you are designing any UI, what is the method you have to understand? Let's see. For generally, when you are working with some, suppose we have an object like this, red, yeah, and we have yellow. Okay. Now, this is, suppose this is an object. Suppose I will make this as a ball, right? We have just ball. This is an object. This ball is actually having red border. It is having yellow fill. And it is having radius some 100. Like this we are having. What are these? These will specify how it looks like. That means how the object looks like. The height, width, color, all these. The physical appearance. Technically, we call them as properties. Properties define how an object looks like. So these are called properties. That means the height, width, color, all these are properties. Okay. What a ball can do? What a ball can do? What a ball can do? Ball can roll, ball can bounce, ball can explode, right? Ball can spin, right? That means what actions this ball can do? Activities. What are the activities performed by this object? These are called methods. We call them methods. These are methods. And when these will perform, when these will perform, when a ball will roll, when you roll the ball, it will roll. When a ball will bounce, when you throw the ball, it will bounce. When a ball will explode, when you pin the ball, it will explode. Right? Or you can say, you say when you crush, it will explode. Right? That means throw, pin, crush. These will tell when to do these actions. Am I right? These are called as, we generally call these as events. These are called as events. So every element have properties, methods, and events. Properties define how it should look like. Methods define what it should do. And event define when it should do. Generally, event is called as trigger. Event is a trigger. That means when the bullet will fire, when you press the trigger, that means when event triggers, the actions will perform. That means this is actually, this is a general example. Huh? This is a general thing. Suppose now we are having a button. So we are having some button. Okay. In this button, we are having some text. The button text is like some close. Okay. Now this button is having, so blue color, right? It is having blue border, close text, white fill, like this we are having. These are all what? These are all properties. Properties means how it looks like. Border radius, so many are there. Now it can close, it can close, it can print, it can open, it can save, it can do a lot of things. But currently what they are doing with it, currently they are using a method called what? Close. A button can do all of them, but currently they designed it to close. That is the action it can perform. Right? Button can close. And tell me when it can do this. When you click, am I right? When you click, when mouse over, you don't need to click. I just move the mouse over, it can do. Or mouse down, means when you hold down the mouse pointer on that button, it will perform. So on mouse up, that means when you release the button, it can do. Or do you know several buttons will work on space bar? You know, go to OK button and press space bar, it will fire up. We don't use enter. We use space bars for selecting. Certain things are selected by using space bar. This is just rough point. What these all called as? These all are called as what? Events. So these are the properties, these are the methods, and these are the events. So what a form can do? You designed a form. What a form can do? So it has two methods only. Every form have only two methods. Only two methods. What are those two methods of a form? Method, actually method, it defines the actions performed by form. And form method, form methods are, we have two methods. One is get, another one is post. A form is designed for two methods. One is get and post. So when you design a form, either it should be for get or it should be for post. Now, what is difference between these methods? This is a very important question asked for you in interviews also. Lot of, even for experienced people, we have a lot of questions here which they can't answer sometimes. So what are these? I will show you the point, right? So at fresher experience, what these are the concepts asked here is generally when to use get, when to use post. That means actually we write like this: form method is get or method is post. Like this we write. Capitalization doesn't matter, either get, post, you write anyway. What is difference? What is the purpose? When to use get, when to use post. So let's see get method. So it is the default method of form. It is the default method of form. Just form is enough. It is the default method of form. That means you don't write anything for form. By default, it is having which method? Get method. Actually, it is used to fetch data from server. It is used to fetch data from server. What is meant by fetch? Accessing. Fetch means what? Fetch means accessing. It is used to access the data from server. You can say read, you can fetch, you can collect the data from server. So form is always used for fetching the data from server. So you are designing a form and the intention of form is to get that information and show you. Get the information and show you. For example, you are having, so we are having a Google and there is a search box. And here we are having search. Now this is a form. We are designing a form. In this, user will enter some HTML and search. When user clicks the search button, what it will do is it will fetch all the details that are matching with HTML and show you all the results here. That means, are you saving these details anywhere? Are you saving these details anywhere? You are not saving these details. You are using these details to get something from server. You are using these details not to save. You are using these details just to get something from server. This is on which request? This is on which request? Get. Get request. What is the get request? The get request is to fetch the data from server. You are not saving the form data. You are using the form data to get something from server. You are not sending, means generally what people say, sir, when I click button, everything is sending, right? Sending is not the point. Here, the meaning of post is to not to submit. Post means to save. That means we are saving some data on server. Then it is called as post. We are getting some information. Then we call it as what? Get, right? The fetch, right? Get method is used for fetching the data. It is used for fetching the data. So always use the get method for fetching the data from server. Fetching the data from server. Okay. Next, this is the first basic point. Okay. What is post method? Post method. It is an explicit method to configure. That means it is not default. We have to manually write post. Now what it can do is it submits the data to server in order to save on server. It submits the data to server in order to save on server. That is the concept of submit. It submits the data to server in order to save on server. Now, what is the point here is you are defining some name, age, something else, mobile, and all this. You are entering these details. You are entering these details and you are clicking on submit. That means what you are doing, you are sending these details to the server so that they can be saved on server. You are sending the details to save on server. You are not using them to get something from server. You are using to save them on server. Then the form must be designed on which request? Post. So that is on get and post. Later internally, so many other methods you will manage on server side. But initially a form is designed for two things. One is get, another one post. Get is for fetching and post is for submitting. Submitting means what? Not sending. It is for saving. So form always posted to save its data on server. That is the main concept of post. So you are designing something for requesting. Suppose you tell me now, you are having PNR. In PNR, what you are doing is you are entering PNR number. So you are entering PNR number and you are some number is entered, something, and you are saying submit. Now, is it on get or post? You are saving the PNR number? No, what you are doing by using the PNR number, you are getting that information from the server. Now, this is a form for what? Get. It is a form for get. We are getting that information and using that information. So here, lot of questions are there. I will tell you, right? For example, suppose we are having some like another one like Inox. So Inox movies, some website. Here you can see there is a form here. You can see there is a form. In this form, you can select a movie. You can select a movie. You can select a date. You can select the cinema and you can select time and you can click on book. Is it on get or post? Get, because you are not saving these details. You are using this only for accessing the details. Now this is a form designed which request get. You are fetching the data. You are not saving the data. That means you are fetching the details about that particular time, particular date, and particular show and all. This is the form on get. So this is generally get or post. That is actually done by using get and post option. Now the question here is, so the frequently asked question is, can we submit and save data on get request? Actually, submitting and saving data is done on which request? Post. Can we submit and save data on get request? That is the question asked. Can we submit and save the data on get request? Actually, yes, we can do, but it is not recommended every time. Every time. Every time it is not recommended, but sometimes we do it. So why we do that? For example, I will show one point here. Means now the very important is why we cannot submit and save. Actually, we can submit and save data on server using get request. We can do it, but not recommended. Always use it for only getting, fetching, not for saving. That's not a good idea. Why it is not good idea? So the question is why it is not recommended to save data. Why it is not recommended to save data on get request? Why it is not recommended to save data on get request? So some points are there. What are the points is, so when you submit data on get, it is appended into URL as query string. Everyone can view your data. It is not safe. It is easy to hack your data. It is stored in browser logs. It can be bookmarked. You cannot submit complex data, that is binary type data. There is limit for data, that is, so which is max 2048 characters. These are all the problems of submitting data on get. These are all the drawbacks of get. So this is one important problem. That is the reason it is not recommended to save the data on get request. When you submit the data on get request, these all things will happen. That is the reason it is not recommended. Appended in the URL as query string, everyone can view your data. It is not safe, easy to hack. It is stored in browser history. Browser log means browser history. It can be bookmarked means favorites. You can save in save favorites. It cannot submit complex binary type data, images and all we cannot submit. So there is limit for data. You can submit maximum 2048 according to the browser standards. Actually, some browsers can submit 64,000 characters also, but they are very rare. That is the standard limit of data. And this is important term as query string. It is submitted as query string. This is very important because in some interviews they ask like when I submit data on get where the data will be. Then you have to tell it will be in query string. That is the technical answer. So see the point now. What are the problems with this? You see now, let's say this is a password. So password. So don't worry what I am typing here. Just observe the concept of form. Okay. Okay. What is the form method? Form method is what? Post. And what is it? Get. Suppose currently the method is get. Okay. Let's open this now. We will enter the password. Here we will enter a password. And I click on submit. then you can see that the data is submitted in the URL. So everyone can see your password. Right? It's not safe. And not only here, even you close this, later in browser history, what you submitted is saved. That means anybody can see what you have saved previously. In the browser history, it is available. So that means when you look at the browser history, in the browser history, it will display the document that you have saved. You can see the document that I have saved. When I move the mouse onto that, you can see the ID is also there now. That means you can see the password is also there. Tip is coming. Password, what I saved, it is present. You may tell like I will delete from history. Even you delete from history, they can bookmark your page. That means this data also will be saved in the bookmark. That means they can bookmark this page. Then in that bookmark, it will be automatically added with the data also. And remember, when data is submitted here, how much you can submit? There is a limit. That is maximum how much? 2048. And whatever present after question mark, this is called query string. We call this as query string. That means after the question mark, whatever is present, it is a query string. That is what query string is. Generally, the problem with submitting on GET is you cannot submit complex data. So there is a limit for the data and it is not safe. It is not safe. So then if it is not safe, it is not recommended, then why they have given the facility of submitting on GET? If it is not good, if it is not safe, then they should have disabled it. That means even you try to submit, they should not allow to submit. Then why they are allowing if it is not good? Why they are allowing to submit on good GET request if it is not good? They are allowing to submit on GET means there might be some advantage also. There might be some use also. And what is that use? If it is not good, then why they enabled it? Why they provided that facility? That means they are saying that you can submit on GET, but we don't recommend much. That means they are, in some cases, they are recommending it. And why it is recommended? This is another question. So why submitting on GET is enabled for form? So why submitting on GET is enabled for form? This is another question actually. Why it is enabled for form? What is the advantage of submitting data on GET request? The advantage is, one advantage is there. So submitting data on GET will save round trips. Will save round trips. This is very big concept. Submitting data on GET will save round trips. That's one important word technically. In even high level web technologies interviews also, like the Java, .NET also, they ask what is round trip and how you prevent round trips. What is the concept of round trip in web technologies? Even for Java, Python, .NET, PHP people also, this question is very important. Even for Oracle, MySQL, database people also use the word. Anybody who is learning server-based technology, their round trip word is important. because databases also will use servers. Server based technologies have a concept of round trip. What is this round trip? What is the concept of round trip? And you are saying that it is enabled with round trip. Say that means what is advantage of submitting data? It will save round trips. What is round trip? How it will save the round trip? I will show one point here. Actually, so we have client, we have the client, and we have server. We have server. On the server, we have some data. Now we are requesting the data from the server and we are watching the data on client. We are requesting and watching the data. Now, so for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, this data will not change. Data on server will not change. It is standard. It will not change for 5-10 minutes. It will not change. Now what happens here is this person is refreshing. This person is reloading, refresh, refresh, refresh. Then every time it is bringing from server. Every refresh it is bringing for server. For some time it will not change. Then why you are going to server every time? If you know that for 5 minutes it will not change, then what you can do is for that 5 minutes you can keep the data in the browser cache memory. That is temporary memory of browser. What is advantage now? Whenever client refresh, it will get it from the cache. That means it will not go to the server. Going to server every time and accessing from server every time is called round trip. Now tell me what will happen when I submit data on get. It saves your data in cache. What is the advantage of saving data in cache? It will save round trip. The same data I need within a fraction of time again, then it will provide the data to you without going to the server. Without going to the server. Every time it has to go to server and bring the data, it will take time. For example, I will give one small general concept. You are filling a form. In that 20 fields you filled. After that, another 20 fields I have to fill. Now in these 20 fields, some went wrong. Some field you entered wrong. You submitted. This will go to server. Come back again because you entered some wrong details. It cannot save until you enter correct details. That means one field is wrong. When it came from server again, the form will be empty again. That means again 20 fields you have to fill. Now you will be frustrated. Right? That means again I have to fill all the data. It will not save the data. You have to fill all the details again. That's not a great idea. Until or unless they finally submit, you can cache the data and keep it in the memory. What is advantage of that? If anything went wrong, it will not ask you to enter all the data again. It will ask you to enter only the data which is wrong. Rest of data is already filled. That is the advantage of submitting data on get. But it is not recommended if you are dealing with highly sensitive data. If you are dealing with highly sensitive data, that is not recommended. Why it is not recommended? Easy to hack. Anybody can see your data. It is recommended if you are not dealing with highly sensitive data, right? That is the reason this facility is enabled. Why you have a facility of submitting data on get if it is not good every time? It has some good feature also, but that is not every time. When you are dealing with forms with less sensitive data, then better you can go it with what? Get request. Can you submit data on get request? Yes, we can submit. So what is this round trip concept? That means what is the concept of round trip? What is round trip? That is another question. So round trip is a technique followed by server-side technologies. By server-side technologies. Followed by server-side technologies, where the request is processed on server every time. Request is processed on server every time. Request is processed on server every time. That means you request several times within a fraction of time, it will return the same data. But every time it is coming from server. That is round trip. Now the question is how to save round trip. So by caching the data, you can save round trip by caching the data. Now the question is, what is caching? It is a technique used in web applications to save frequently used data in buffer. So buffer is temporary memory allocated for browser. The temporary memory allocated for browser, that is the buffer. So round trips will save round trip. Caching, we usually in other software technologies, they call it as pooling. We call it as pooling. Pooling is used in other server side techniques. Caching and pooling are used generally for databases. We use the word as pooling. So caching and pooling are the techniques used for saving the round trips. Actually, pooling means no need. You don't need to see this, but I will show you one small ODBC is there. Okay. You see, this is database connectivity. In database connection, there is a concept called what? Connection pooling. Connection pooling is a database concept. And what is it? See, connection pooling allows application to reuse and open connection handles, which saves round trips to the server. That is the use actually. That is the use. We call caching, we call pooling. These are the words. Round trip is a technical word. What is round trip and how do we handle these round trips, right? These later databases will teach you what is this point. So this is the concept of submitting data. So you can submit data on get, but it is not recommended every time, right? Now the question is, what are the features? What are the features of submitting data on post? What are the features? So data is submitted as form body. Form body. It is not visible general users. So it is safer when compared to get. So it is not stored in browser logs. It is not stored in browser logs. It cannot be bookmarked. So there is no limit for data. You can submit any complex data. You can submit any complex data. There is no limit for data. So that means it is hard to hack data. So then the question is, what is issue with submitting on post? Answer is it cannot be cached. That is the point. That means data once submitted is gone. You cannot save it anywhere. Once you submit on post, the data is gone. You cannot save it anywhere. That is the reason if they want to save, then what developers do, they will use some additional techniques through that they save the data and keep it. Even on post also, they use some additional techniques for saving the data and using later. We call them as state management. Later in server side technologies and everywhere you will learn state management. We use some state management techniques and manage by using the state management technique. So what is the issue with submitting on post, with data submitting on post? It cannot be cached. So it uses round trip. But remember, all are not secured. So that means remember, anything is not finally secured. Electronic devices are always unsecured. We cannot trust on them. That means, 1-2 months back, our home minister Twitter account is hacked. He can't do anything. Then after all, who are you? That means home minister Twitter account hacked means now how intelligence is working for him, how high security is working for him, his account is hacked. After all, you are nothing. That means everything what you are doing, whatever you are handling, everything we can see. Only the point is people who have that ability to crack, they will crack. There is no permanent security at all. So especially electronic device, we don't trust anything because there is a mechanism of hacking your data and 100% it is possible. That means you forgot your phone pin. Will you throw your phone? Then you can reset. You can reset. So what then? Your laptop, some password you forgot. Will you leave it? Buy one more? No. That means give 100 rupees. The hardware engineer will crack it and give it to you. Right? That means it's very simple. And there is nothing permanent security. Every security can be cracked. That means, for example, you forgot your some account related details, bank account details. So your bank money gone? No, you will go to the bank people and you will say, I forgot my details. He will verify so many things and he will recover and give it to you. That means he have a mechanism of recovering. That means he have a mechanism of seeing what you have done. he will say that, okay, on this day, you haven't done the transaction or you done the transaction. That means anything can be monitored. We are saying that, so it is not visible to users. So see now, I am using the form. We will remove the data. And here we will put it form method as what? Post. But actually this post will not work. Why? Because on post, where to post we have to tell. There must be some server which will collect the data and save the data. As of now, we don't have, but still we will practice this. Go to inspect. In the inspect, go to network category. In the network category, this is network category. Actually, you are in elements category. Yeah? You go to network category. This is network category. Once you type the data, something you type, you click on submit. It is submitted. It is showing this message because it is saying that there is no servers which can save your data. Currently, we don't have anything. But observe carefully, data is not in query string anywhere. And observe carefully now. Let me scroll this. Where is it? Yeah. Let me scroll this form. You see, this is the form. Select it. After selecting it, there is a payload. In that, the password is there. That means this is header. On which method? Request method is what? Post. And payload will give you the data. You just said that you cannot see the data. Of course, we can see the data. Only the point is now, if you know that data can be seen like this, then we will encode the data. We will not submit in a clear form. We will use some coding, encoding, decoding mechanism. That means data is not submitted in a clean way, so that nobody knows what is behind it. Just like you see QR code, barcodes, you don't know what is behind it, but there is some reference for that. Technically, this is important. That means now you said that, then how it is safe? We are not saying it is safe. It is safer than get. It is safer than get. There is no permanent security, right? Because the people who can crack, they can crack. So, but they will take some time. They need some more efforts. Then easily it can be hacked. Just it is a temporary security when compared to previous get. But what people will do is they will encode the data and pass the data. Later, you will see that there is no permanent security as of now, right? That means you have to know that these devices are having certain features for securing, but they are under the limit, So this is basically how the methods work. Two methods are there. What are those? Get and post. So what is difference between get and post? Get is for fetching and post is for submitting and saving the data. But submitting and saving the data, we use this post, right? Now we have one more option, that is action. It defines where to submit the data. That is so which refers to a target page. Typically, it is always always a dynamic page, server side. Typically, it is always a dynamic page, server side. So later in JavaScript and other techniques, you can implement this. Actually, what we can do is, suppose we are writing like this, form method is get, and the action is, suppose, some shopper.html. Actually, it is not HTML. It is some Java, JSP, PHP, like that. We use some server-side pages there. From a HTML page to server-side page, we submit. Currently, I'm just using this shopper HTML. That means, see what will happen now. I am changing this method as get or post, anything we can use. Action I'm giving as shopper template. Now see what happens is, when I entered some query, some password, and I clicked on submit, that will be submitted to that page. You can see I went to shopper, there the data is submitted. So here we can collect the data and verify is the password correct or not. If correct, then we will show him. Otherwise, we will ask login. Such data transporting from one page to another, we can do that by using this technique. Later in JavaScript, you will learn all these points. But what is action? Action indicates where to submit the data. Currently, the data is submitted to which page? Shopper. And remember, we are submitting on get. Later we can do on post and other options also. Action is that. What is the action? Another important is no validate. It disables the default HTML validations. It disables the default HTML validations. So we have to use form, method, some post or something, and no validate. It is used for disabling. Actually, HTML have validation concept. HTML have a validation concept. Later you are going to learn that while working with text box and all we will learn. For example, suppose we are having this and see without entering password, if I submit, it will submit empty. You will see it is submitting empty password. But without entering password, it should not allow to submit. It should not allow to submit. Then what you can do is, we can use here password with the attribute called required. This is a validation. Later you will learn that validation. When I submit now, what happens is it is not submitting. That's good. That is good. Validation is good. And remember, if I use no validate, that means it will not validate. It will bypass the validation and submit. Is validation good for form or not? Then why you are bypassing it? If validation is good, why they have given a facility to skip it? Why you are bypassing the validation? So that means, remember, 1 hour complete interview for an experienced person also we can do on form. Even you put 10 years experience in web development, we can have questions, 1 hour questions on form concept, which you can't answer. That means form looks very simple and easy, but it's very complex in technical criteria. Right? For experienced people, we can screw like anything, like he can't answer. Even he have 10 years experience also in form, especially. So many such complex things are there. Even in his 10 years experience, he never worked with them. He may worked with 4 or 5 projects, but still he don't know several things. Such concepts are there, very huge, very complex. And technically they are very important also. Some are important. We can't blame, because their projects that they worked on, they don't allow him to go outside that. Right? For their project, what they worked on, they know very well. Outside that, they don't have time to explore, or they are not aware. In that case, it's very difficult. So now validation is very good. Then why you have disabled it? Why you have to disable this validation? Because here one point is, If validation is good, why you are disabling is, the problem with validation is the validation provided is not satisfying to my requirement every time. For example, I'm using email. Okay. Here you have to enter email. Okay. And here I am using the word email. So I'm asking to enter email. Now see what happens is, so I'm entering email. I entered some name, David, and say submit. It's not allowing. It says please include at the net. It's very good. It is verifying that you haven't entered proper email. Okay, I will enter at om.om. Is it a valid email? But it will submit. That means it is not a valid email. Then why you are submitting? Because according to its validation, email means at the net symbol must be there. Anywhere you keep it is valid. That's wrong. How it can be correct? Suppose we say mobile validation. Mobile validation means it will validate Japanese phone number. Why I need Japanese phone number? Why I need US phone number? I want Indian phone number to validate, but it will validate US phone number, UK phone number, something like that. Why I need? That means validations are not satisfying to our requirements. Then what we do? We plan to write our own validation. When we write our own validation, these should not work anymore because already we are writing, then 2 times validation will fire up. Default validation will work, our validation also, time waste. We want our validation or this. In that case, better what you do here is we can keep it as what? No validate. That means it will not verify anymore. So you submit anything. Then what we do by using our language, JavaScript and all, we will verify. We will validate according to our condition. Where at the net should be, after at the net, how many should be, what it should be, only Gmail should allow or other not allowed. Like that, we can put our own criteria. So that is the reason we don't need to validate default. So these are the options for a form, how to work with a form. Now we will see the elements inside the form. Elements inside the form means text box, passwords, checkbox, how to design. That we will see in tomorrow's session. Right? Today we learned only about form. We don't have anything to design. We will learn designing later when we deal with elements. Now we will see how to enter text boxes, passwords and all. Right? Tomorrow we'll continue. Okay? Right.